far done 6 chapters of the Gita. The first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, where we saw what the condition of Arjuna was when he saw the actual scene of the battle, and also how he broke down, how he made various excuses to not fight the war. In the second chapter, Lord Krishna starts instructing Arjuna, and we see that the instructions begin with knowledge. Because Krishna is very, very clear that the problem that Arjuna is having is not the war. It is not his fear, it is ignorance. Because he is not aware that he is of the very nature of completeness. So knowing that the root cause of the issue is ignorance, Krishna starts his instruction with knowledge. So the second chapter is Sankhya Yoga, where Krishna talks about the highest truth, about the oneness of all beings, or the oneness of the self with the Supreme, and the eternal nature of the self, explaining that even death is a mere incident and not really the end of anything. Further, in the third chapter, Arjuna asks a very important question, that if this is so, if knowledge is the solution, and if not, knowing the truth alone can solve everything, why not pursue knowledge in the midst of the forests or take sannyas? Why should I do karma at all? Why are you pushing me to karma when we know that knowledge is the highest vocation? To this, Krishna answers that it is not that knowledge and karma are two different or separate or distinct paths, they are one and the same. It is just a matter of levels. So actually, knowledge is a solution, but not everybody can grasp knowledge. Not everybody can live and feel that knowledge. Intellectually, we can keep saying I am infinite, but deep within we feel I am finite, we operate at the level of finite. Why is that so? So it is said because our equipments are not tuned. The equipment of the mind and intellect needs to be tuned using karma. When karma is used to tune the equipments of the mind and intellect, then that karma becomes karma yoga. And the whole technique of karma yoga is explained, saying one must have a higher ideal, one's actions must be dedicated to the Lord, one must accept every result, whatever it comes, with prasada buddhi, and one must have complete selflessness and egolessness. This kind of an ideal state of action can be attained through the yajna spirit. So we saw when people come together for a higher cause, for a nobler ideal, in the benefit of the greater number, and do some action selflessly, they get trained in karma yoga. It's a mental training. Karma yoga therefore is not a specific action. Karma yoga is an attitude behind every action. Then in the fourth chapter, various topics were covered where Krishna establishes the Guru Shishya Parampara. He explains that this knowledge which is being spoken about is not exclusive to himself. It is a knowledge which has got passed down many generations through dedicated work of the rishis and the saints and sages. Then he talks about Avatarvad and how the Lord, the Supreme Lord himself, keeps coming back into form by his own will, not pushed by karma, in order to revive dharma, in order to help noble people live by dharma. Not to destroy the evil. Destruction of the evil is secondary. Most important purpose is to help noble people live by dharma. Then he talks about karma, vikarma and akarma, where he says that how action itself can be complete inaction when there is no ego, when there is no doership, and dynamic action can happen in that state. And while sometimes one may be doing the most pious or selfless action, but if there is ego, then that action becomes a bondage, a karma. So one must know the difference between the two. Having said that, then in the fifth chapter, he speaks about the various aspects of, again, karma and jnana, and how to renounce karma, and at what stage one can renounce karma, and at what levels one can renounce karma. Because the fifth chapter again begins with the more serious question of Arjuna, then why not sannyas? So he says that you can take sannyas, but to take sannyas, a certain readiness is required. A person filled with desires and attachments and longings must not take sannyas, it will cause disaster to himself and to others. Only a person who is completely free from desires must take sannyas. Others must perform actions, through actions dedicatedly working in the spirit of karma yoga, attain that state of desirelessness and ultimately take sannyas. And what is taking sannyas? Not wearing orange clothes, not giving up actions, but to be able to pursue the truth 24/7. For that one has to prepare oneself, because that is the very purpose of life. When one is ready and one takes sannyas, what is one supposed to do? One is supposed to practice dhyana yoga or atma samyama yoga. So it was said that for the sake of atma samyama yoga, in the 6th chapter we saw, one has to be able to have done sannyas already. Only a person who has renounced desires can actually experience that bliss of meditation. And then the whole process of meditation is explained. How to sit, what kind of asana, what one should do in the seat of meditation, how one should focus, and all different details are given. And then the actual experience of the person who meditates is given. What happens to the person who practices this meditation? It is said he experiences absolute oneness. He experiences oneness with all beings. Then for him there is no difference in objects, there is no difference in people. Difference may exist functionally, but the psychological difference does not exist. So one will still wear the anklet on the foot and the bangle in the hand. One can't reverse that, but one will in one's mind know that it doesn't matter, it is ultimately only gold. Similarly, the realized person may still treat people as required functionally, but in his mind he very clearly knows it is divinity manifesting, that's all. So the psychological differences do not exist. Similarly, amongst things also, he does not differentiate psychologically. That's where the 5th chapter closed, saying this is how a realized master lives, this is how he experiences the truth, and therefore this experience is very, very important, because the moment there is oneness, there is joy. Separation alone brings sorrow. When the child is born from the womb of the mother, there is complete oneness, and therefore there is joy. Slowly, the mother also starts feeling separate from the child also develops his individuality, and therefore frictions begin. Till there is oneness, there is no trouble at all. Even in a relationship, when there is oneness, there is no trouble. But the moment that oneness goes away, one starts feeling separate from the person, there is friction, there is trouble. So for friction to happen, two different entities are needed. Science. Friction can't happen with one entity. Two entities are needed. So when there is oneness, there is no friction. There is only peace and joy. And therefore one must practice meditation and one must experience that oneness in this very life, because this is the opportunity we have. Now Krishna has been speaking and speaking and speaking for 6 chapters. And Arjuna is an ordinary person like all of us. And ordinary people have a limited attention span. So when it goes on and on and on, sometimes people get bored. Even if it's the most inspiring science of the Gita way of life, people say, okay, now understood. Fine. Oneness, got it. So somehow they get saturated. And so they either stop coming to class, so you see there's a little drop in the attendance. Or they sit in the class and sleep. Sometimes when they can't be seen by the speaker, they keep messaging on the phone. All kinds of things happen. Why? Because the attention shifts. That's the nature of the human mind. And probably that's something which could have very, very possibly happened to Arjuna, because we are at least hearing it once in 15 days. He was listening to it at a stretch. So by now, there is a possibility that Arjuna probably was looking here and there. So Krishna, in the beginning of the 7th chapter, very beautiful chapter called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. We'll see what is Jnana and what is Vijnana. In the beginning of this chapter, he talks to Arjuna about listening. He says, Arjuna, you just listen to me. But sometimes one feels, why is Krishna saying, listen to me? He's already listening. So there are various reasons. One is, of course, probably Arjuna was looking here and there, which is a big possibility. Other thing is, when we are saying, like, when you're talking to somebody also, you're having a casual conversation, and suddenly you remember something important. What do you say? Acha, listen, I have to tell you this. It doesn't mean he's not listening so far. He is listening, but now you're telling something important. So you're saying, listen. So you want to draw the attention of the listener to what you're going to say next. So now Krishna says, listen, meaning that pay attention to what I'm saying now. Something important is coming up. Other aspect also is that listening involves many things, especially spiritual listening. It's not like listening to any other lecture. Spiritual listening is a very different kind of listening because the knowledge which is being conveyed is beyond words, beyond thoughts, beyond expression. And that knowledge the teacher speaks and the student listens and understands. So the student, when he is listening, has to be so tuned to the teacher that the student should be able to understand the silence of the teacher. Merely listening to the words is not going to do anything. It will give intellectual understanding. Jnana, not vijnana. So for actual vijnana to occur, the student and teacher must have absolute tuning. That is the reason earlier days they didn't allow people to just walk in and listen. There was a rule. So if a student, a disciple goes to a teacher, he can't just go and listen to a class. The teacher will say, okay, you stay in the ashram, do seva for some time. The student stays, not because the teacher wants some people to do the work around in the ashram. That's not the point. The point is when the student stays around the teacher, watches the teacher, talks to the teacher, off the platform, there is a certain tuning which develops. When the tuning has developed, then when the student sits in front of him and the teacher says, Tat Tvam Asi, he realizes. That's why you read the Upanishadic literature, it's like that. The teacher said, you are Brahman, and the student realized. And we say, Are Rama, every month, 2 time we are listening. Nothing like that. Now our listening is not at that level because we are not tuned 100%. What is our tuning with Gurudev? When the tuning with that source is there, then only the flow of knowledge will happen. That is very important. Because this is spiritual knowledge, it is not some other knowledge. Second aspect is, Guruji always tells us there are 3 kinds of listeners. First type are called the Shrota, they listen. Second type are called the Sota, they sleep. Third type are called the Sarota. Sarota is that which that nutcracker. Those who eat beetle nut, they have that metal thing with which they cut that beetle nut. So some people are like Sarota. As they are listening, they keep cutting. Not practical. This though is for sannyasis only. I think I have heard this story before. Why she is narrating one more? It's such a common example. Everything. Something or the other they find. Cut. Why that happens? Because the mind is not open. For knowledge to flow and to transform us, the mind needs to open up to that knowledge. That's why it was said in the 4th chapter, Shraddhavan Labhate Jnana. When there is Shraddha, there is openness. And what is that openness? Actually speaking, very, very bluntly if I have to say, openness is the willingness to do whatever is written. That's a different level of openness. One is okay, this is right, very good, we admire, Gita has such great knowledge, Gurudev always used to say, you can go through Gita many times. How many times has Gita gone through you? We don't allow that to happen. Because we are not open. Openness is when I get to that point in my journey. It won't happen right in the beginning, it takes time. But every seeker has to get to that point in the journey where one says, if this is written in the scripture, if this is told by my Guru, I'll do it. then transformation begins and the resistance of the mind stops. Otherwise the ego and the attachments are so strong we won't even know how silently they prevent. Our mind will quietly filter out what is inconvenient and just keep what is convenient. We won't even realize this. This is a very, very silent, quiet process. For that to be prevented, there has to be Shraddha, there has to be openness to really change. And when will that happen? That will happen when mind transformation means something to me. So fact is, I have to question myself, does my transformation matter to me? What is my purpose of listening? Am I listening to transform myself? Am I listening to really discover infinite happiness and live that kind of a magnanimous life? Or am I listening for entertainment? That's a question I have to ask myself. Self-reflection, introspection. Because that will decide how that knowledge will flow. So Krishna says, listen. So one has to be ready to do anything for the sake of that knowledge. One has to love that knowledge. Without love, transformation can't happen. So there has to be tremendous amount of love for that knowledge, love for that teacher, love for the cause. Many times it is very sad that we listen to this knowledge, we don't love it. We love other things. And how do we know whether we are falling in love with the knowledge or not? First thing that will happen is, the moment there is love, there is longing. And when there is genuine longing, one can't live without it. You know, we have weekly study groups and all that in Chinmaya Mission. There are some people who tell us that if the study group does not happen for 2 weeks, we start missing it. We start feeling agitated. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? It's a very good thing. Because agitated I will anyway be for something or the other. But to be agitated for the higher is an excellent sign. The gopis cried for Krishna. They are taking liberation. We cry for the world, that is a problem. I don't get my morning newspaper, I will cry. I don't get my morning bed tea, I will cry. I miss my serial 2 episodes, I will be upset. If I miss satsang, how do I feel? That's a question. How much does it mean to me is a question. Because if it means to me, then my whole way of listening will be very, very different. So the quality of listening. When I listen with complete attention, then the spiritual knowledge fulfills us by revealing to us the relationship between Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. 3 aspects. And so beautiful, Vedanta puts the entire spiritual knowledge into 3 bullet points. Jiva, individual. Jagat, world. Ishvara, the cause or the creator of the world and the individual. Everything encompassed in that. So the relationship, the connection between these 3. What is my connection with the world? How do I operate with it? What is the world's connection with the God? What is my connection with God? And how do I deal with all of these? This science is taught to us. Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. So broadly, very broadly, the Gita is divided into 3 sections. From chapter 1 to 6, which we completed in the last session, majorly the Jiva aspect is dealt with, the individual and his journey. Now from the 7th chapter to the 14th chapter, to the 12th chapter, this next 6 chapters cover mainly the aspect of Jagat. And because Jagat is covered, therefore Ishvara also is covered in these 6 chapters. So these 6 chapters starting from the 7th chapter are very important because they bring out the nature of the world, the nature of the Creator, the nature of God, questions that have remained unanswered for lifetimes. We may more or less know there is some God, But who knows what is God? The answer is there. What is this creation? Where has it come from? What is the cause of this creation? How do I relate to this creation and to God? These answers are given here. Very, very important section. So with this 7th chapter, this very important section begins. And the last 6 chapters, from the 13th chapter to the 18th chapter, the oneness of these three will be established. The oneness of the Jiva, Jagat and Ishwar. It's a very, very beautiful journey that the Gita is taking us through. So this particular chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Jnana refers to knowledge, Vijnana refers to wisdom in its simplest terms. Jnana refers to information. Vijnana refers to insight. They are two different things. I have information that Narendra Modi went to America. I don't have insight. I have insight that I am inside. I have complete information. I don't have complete information. Information is different from insight. Insight is in-depth knowledge. So Jnana and Vijnana. Jnana refers to general knowledge about things. So generally, sometimes you meet somebody and they say, do you know this gentleman? I generally know him. I don't know much about him. And sometimes they ask you, do you know this person? And you say, oh, I know him in and out. We have been together for years together. I know everything about him. So when I have general knowledge of a particular thing, that is called jnana. When I have specific, detailed knowledge about a thing, that is called vijnana. Many times we study the scriptures, we understand certain theoretical aspects of things, but they have not become my own experience. They have not become a spiritual experience. The scriptural knowledge, not spiritual knowledge. Scriptural knowledge is jnana, spiritual knowledge is vijnana. When I study about the world, geography, geology, history, mathematics, literature, all of this is jnana. When I start looking for the cause of the world, it becomes vijnana. When I believe or when I know that God exists, it is jnana. I know that there is some God. It's jnana. When I realize that God and I are one, is vijnana. That means I've really known God as it is. So basically, jnana is intellectual information and vijnana is spiritual realization. Why is this chapter called Jnana Vijnana Yoga? Because in this chapter, both jnana and vijnana are given. If only vijnana we attempt, many times we do that because we are intellectuals. We say, itna padh ke kya fayda? What is the use of studying 18 chapters of the Gita? You take one principle and you live it. Live. So easy it is. Without jnana, vijnana is not possible. Many times people say, we know so much, but what about doing? We don't do it, we are not living it. Question to ask ourselves is, do we really know? Do we really know? We generally know. I have to be good, I have to follow values, I have to do some charity, there is some God, I have to pray. Basic information I have. Do I really have knowledge? If I don't have knowledge, how will that become action? For something to translate into my hands, it has to be in my head first. I don't have knowledge. So I cannot have vijnana without jnana. I also can't have jnana without vijnana. Only intellectual knowledge is no use. So therefore, this chapter of the Gita gives us information of both jnana and vijnana. Therefore, it's called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. And this is not really the kind of knowledge that is unavailable, if we think about it. Knowledge is available. Why it is available? Because one doesn't have to create it outside. It's within us. The jnana and vijnana both are actually within us. Yet we see that such rare few individuals actually even walk this path of knowledge. It's very, very rare. Ordinary physical sadhanas, a lot of people do, going to temple, following rituals, doing charity, doing seva. Not that these things are wrong or bad or lower, but this is easy. This is handling the issue at the symptom level. The cause is ignorance. So that path of knowledge, very few people can walk. Why? Because it's rare. Therefore, this chapter of the Gita gives this very, very beautiful shloka, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhi. That amongst millions and millions of people, one rare person even attempts this path. Even attempt. If we think about it, what is the population of Mumbai? What is the population of Sion? Now we are so pleased, 200 people, 250 people coming to the talks. Compared to the population of Sion, how rare few have come actually speaking. Handful, isn't it? Rare few. Not everybody can access this knowledge. Why don't most people access? Because it's so beautiful. There's infinite happiness, you experience peace, instant. You get this, you listen to this knowledge, there is peace. Then you apply it, there's more peace. Then you realize it, there's greater peace. It's a journey from happiness to happiness. It is not one of those journeys which is from sorrow to happiness. Vedanta doesn't say that you are, suffering and you are a sinner and you are this and then we will revive you with this knowledge. No. You are complete right now. The moment I realize this, happiness. So it's a journey from happiness to happiness. Light to light is the journey. So when this is the journey, so beautiful, so inspiring, why is it that rare few individuals, 1 in millions realizes this, 1 in million even walks this path? So many times people want to come, they can't come. So many times it happens at their doorstep and they don't make it. First reason, they don't feel the need. Basic point. We feel the need. They don't feel it. So there will be lots of people who will tell you, why are you wasting your time going to a Gita talk? That was at this age. Is this a time to go to Gita? Do something productive. They don't feel the need at all. The hunger only is not there. The person who's hungry will find the knowledge somewhere, isn't it? The hunger itself is not there. Sometimes the hunger is there, but there is procrastination. So one says, I know Gita is very good. I know the talks are happening. Ajay Bhai has told me also. But I want to come. One of the months I will come. Next month. Sure. Procrastination. Postpone. What are we postponing? We have to realize. You're not postponing an ordinary appointment. You're not postponing your investment. You're postponing your life. Postponing your own happiness. The very purpose of life is happiness. Whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we speak, whatever we desire is for happiness. And that very purpose I'm postponing. For what? I'm postponing infinite happiness for temporary things. That's why Guruji always says, while doing the urgent and the ordinary, remember not to ignore the important. Because many times we are doing that. We are doing what is ordinary. We are doing what is urgent. The date is going that way. But what is most important to me is my happiness. So a lot of people do that. They know they have to come to satsang. They know they have to seek this knowledge. They know they have to study Gita. Postpone. Then there is a third category who feels, Gita, I know you go to Gita class. I know it's wonderful. I have a lot of respect for Gita. But it's not for me. So they feel it's not for them. They feel Gita is very good, but it's not for me. Why? Because they don't understand that Gita talks about infinite happiness, which is universal. It has nothing to do with any individual. It's not that I have infinite happiness, desire, you don't have. Every single individual who's born on this planet has this desire. Everybody. It's a natural default setting in all of us. Can't change it. It's there. They just don't know. And when they don't know it's for them, they keep seeking an infinite happiness, infinite experiences. Not that they find it, they keep doing it. Exhausting. But they keep feeling spirituality is not for them. Then there's a fourth category who says, I believe in religion, I believe in God, but I don't like listening to class and, getting this knowledge and transforming myself and meditating is too much effort. I will organize one havan, one puja, go to temple, beg, give the dakshina, finished, and get punya. Why do all this? What they don't understand is that the problem is not outside. N amount of puja, N amount of havan, N amount of rituals is not going to give you moksha. It may give you purity. It has its own benefits. But it is not going to give you moksha. Moksha from stress, from sorrow, from pain, from suffering is possible only when I realize that my nature is happiness. Gurudev used to give a very beautiful example. He used to say that when you have closed your eyes with your own hands, you can't keep crying, please free me. The only way is I have to take my hands off my head. You can keep on crying in front of God, Bhagwan, please end my suffering. Bhagwan says, you do something. You don't do that. So a lot of people say, I'm happy doing rituals. I don't want knowledge. But the solution won't come. So very rare few will understand that this is for them, will understand the value of this, will want to do it, will feel the need for it, will take out time for it. Imagine how many factors are going into us sitting in this talk. It's not ordinary. And therefore we should value this experience. And what a blessing it is, maybe because of some punya of the past birth, maybe by the grace of the Guru, maybe sheer causeless compassion of the Lord, maybe coincident, maybe whatever. I am sitting here is a massive fortune. I have no idea how lucky I am. How blessed I should feel and how I should take advantage of this. It's not easy. You think about these factors. Gurudev always used to say that, the karma is so powerful, even if somebody says they are going for the talk, if they are not ready for it, they may come to the doorstep and suddenly remember, oh, I left the gas on, go back. Don't we experience this? Somebody may reach inside the hall, sit there, sleep off. Happens. It's not like they willingly do it. The knowledge will be able to reach me out of a great, great, great grace of the Lord, great punya, and great stroke of karmas. So many factors have gone together for each of us sitting here today. It's not a coincidence. Don't think you sitting here or I sitting here is a coincidence. Millions and millions of factors have been put together and we are here today. So blessed to listen and study the Gita. So Gita says, Manushyanam Sahasresha. As if nobody feels the need of it, nobody wants to come for it. Why do some people go for it? That is also important to see. Why is it that some people go to a Gita talk or go to knowledge or study Vedanta? What is the need? If somebody says, I don't need it, it doesn't appeal to me, understandable. Why does somebody go up, first of all? Somebody told Guruji, there was some yagna happening, there were some 300 people. Guruji's talk was happening many, many years ago. That time probably he was not with Guruji. And one person told him, he said, it's so surprising, there are so many people living in this place and only 200 people are coming for the talks. Why aren't the others coming? Such a wonder it is. Guruji said, my dear, that is not the wonder. The wonder is 200 people are coming for the talk. Why are that many coming? So various reasons can be there. Many times, a person who thinking kind of an individual, realizes that I may have everything in my life, whether it is money, whether it is fame, whether it is relationships, family, desires, whatever. But in spite of having everything, there is a certain part of me which is empty. That emptiness cannot be filled with money or objects or prestige or fame or name or social status, nothing. That emptiness remains. That emptiness makes them come to this knowledge. There are others who observe suffering, like Buddha. Buddha observed suffering. We all see so many people dying. We all see so many people sick. We all see so many people who are aging. How many of us have the courage like Buddha to question? He observed and questioned, thought over it. Think, why? What is the purpose of life? Am I born only to grow old, get sick and die? Or is there something greater? How is it that a sannyasi manages to be peaceful in spite of so much suffering? What is the secret of his peace? He inquired. So observation of suffering sometimes makes people turn to the knowledge. Sometimes one does not have to go through suffering, one does not have to feel empty, but there is a need for a deeper purpose. Today management world is speaking that same language. Corporate executives and CEOs are realizing that people are not really inspired by a bigger salary, better cabin, more perks, mini-skirted secretary. It's not these things which inspire a person. People are looking for a deeper purpose. So many, recently there was news that IIT graduates rejected jobs in big companies, joined some small company. They were asked the purpose. They said, we want inner satisfaction. We don't want the money. It was in the newspapers, you must have read it. So people are looking for an inner satisfaction. They're looking for a deeper purpose. They're not happy with the ephemeral pursuit of small things. Somebody who's looking for a higher purpose sometimes turns to spirituality. Many times they don't know, they keep looking for it in the wrong places. Sometimes they find the way and they come to spirituality. There are others who come because of sheer grace. There is no reason. Some grace of the Lord, some compassion of the Guru, somehow I just landed up in a satsang and I realized, oh my God, I belong here forever. Sometimes it is my own punya. Like Narad Muni had the punya. He was the son of a maid and he, used to live in an ashram, serve the sadhu, so much of punya. Then next life he was born as Narad Muni and he got the knowledge from Brahmaji. There can be many reasons why somebody comes to this knowledge. The reason really does not matter. What matters is that this rare opportunity we have got. Having come here, we should not walk out without proper inquiry. Difficulties we don't inquire. So we listen to this knowledge, but we don't inquire into our lives. We don't examine our lives in the light of this knowledge. We don't ask ourselves, how long will I live like this? I need to live by that knowledge. Guruji always says, an unexamined life is not worth living. Think about it. Isn't all our lives unexamined? How many times do we sit and think about how we are living, what we are doing? And if we think there are people around us, we say, "Thank you, Sushti. Why are you thinking all this? Get to work." We are not encouraged to think. But if we don't think, if we don't examine our own lives, it's a wasted life. Only when life is examined, the purpose is understood. Then having walked this path, also, there are a lot of people who walk this path. In various ways, they're pursuing spirituality, studying the scriptures, doing different things. Kaschit yatati. Yatati means somewhere, some few people walk. Siddhahi. Out of those also, rarest amongst rare will realize the truth. Not everybody who walks the spiritual path realizes. We see that. Not everybody is the same. Why is it that a rare one will realize? Gurudev used to say very nicely. He had a different wit. He used to say that not every student who becomes a graduate becomes a PhD. The law of nature. But there are various other factors also. Sometimes people may walk the path, but they don't find the right teacher. That's a big factor. To fall into the right hands is very, very important. Gurudev, I don't know how many of you have actually read about Gurudev or studied about him or known him. But when we understand his stature, we realize how fortunate we are to have even found him. I'm not talking mystical stature. I'm saying even in terms of what he has done to us. The way he has given us the Gita, the way he has given us Vedanta, simple, practical, rational way, yet uncompromising the depth and authenticity. It's exactly how it is there in the shlokas. You pick up the book and see there is no difference in what is spoken and what is there. Very, very rare it is. When he came down, he was the first person who did that. Vivekananda spoke on the Gita in English, but he gave speeches on the Gita. He didn't explain it verse by verse. Gurudev was the first ever master who gave the Gita in every person's hand and said, look, this is the verse. There is no scope of any brahmachari, any acharya bluffing after that. They bluff, every person has a book in their hand. This is what is told. What are you speaking? So to reach a right teacher is a rare fortune. So many people get stuck because they don't find the right teacher. To be able to receive that knowledge in a systematic way. So how do we know who is the right teacher? Many times that question comes, especially in today's day and age when there's so much of scandals and things happening. One wonders, how do I know I have reached the right teacher? First thing to understand is that the Guru-Shishya relationship itself is not a normal relationship. It's a relationship of lifetimes. There's a different connect. So how do I know I have met my teacher? That question itself is wrong. It's like asking, how do I know I've fallen in love? You just know. It's just love. In the presence of that teacher, my questioning will slowly end. In the presence of that teacher, my doubts will clear out. In the presence of that teacher, my mind will become peaceful. These are only indications. This is not a thumb rule. There is no formula. When I meet the teacher, I know I have met him. How will I know? If you have ever been to a music concert, you sit there is this great singer who's singing. If you have some knowledge of music, you will be able to say, what he's doing is rare. He must be a great master of music. He must have practiced years. It's not ordinary. If I have no knowledge of music, I will say, acha music. I won't know his quality, his level at all because I am not walking that path. So to be able to understand who is a master, I have to walk that path. Then only I can. Otherwise there is no other way. Third aspect is, really speaking, I don't have to look for a master. Because a master is not an individual at all. It's a very important factor. Master is the truth. The truth which manifests in my life in the form of a teacher according to my need and my capacity. So there is no greater guru and smaller guru. Can't be. Guru is one single truth. In my life, my guru has manifested like this. This was my need. In somebody's life, the guru may have manifested in such a way that he only listens to bhajans. That is his need. There is no lesser or greater guru. But in my life, divinity has manifested in this way. And because it is a manifestation of divinity, I don't have to look for a guru. Gurudev always used to say, we don't have to do guru shopping. There is no need. What do I have to do? I have to bloom where I am planted. These are Guru Dev's words. He used to say, you bloom where you are planted. When the flower blooms, even if it has bloomed in the remotest of mountains where there is not a single creature living, Bhagavan will make sure that from somewhere a bee comes, sits on that flower and fulfills the life of that flower. The flower doesn't have to go in search of the bee. When the student is ready, the Guru will happen. It's a phenomenon. I don't have to do anything. I just have to bloom where I am planted. And last aspect is safest method. Gurudev always used to say, and this is a very, very important factor to remember. Surrender to a Guru who is surrendered to a Guru. Very, very important. Surrender to a Guru who is surrendered to a Guru. Safe. Because there is a parampara. If that parampara is not there, if that man is speaking his own something, be careful. Not that he will be a fraud necessarily, but there are many possibilities. He may be a great realized person also, but we don't know. But if there is a lineage, we know where this whole flow is coming from. It's safe. That's why in earlier days, even now, if you go to the Himalayas, you go to any of these ancient ashrams, Kailash ashram or something, the moment you enter the ashram, the first question they will ask you is, कौन सी परंपरा से है? Even if you are a grahastha, फिर आपके गुरु कौन है? The moment they hear your guru is Swami Chinmayananda, they will invite you. Because they know which lineage you are coming from. He was surrendered to Tapovan Maharaj. Tapovan Maharaj to his guru. So there is a parampara. So these are certain criteria to keep in mind. Still, this is no airtight formula. There cannot be. It's like saying this reason, if you have, then you fall in love. Can't be, isn't it? Love happens. But these are some of the signs and symptoms commonly observed. And if at all I have found a right Guru, who is a realized master, who is giving me this knowledge, hold on to his feet. Without the right Guru, this path is difficult. People can't learn one driving without the right Guru. They have to join a driving school and learn. What to talk of the spiritual path where the instrument is not known? I don't understand my own mind. The path is not known. The goal is also unknown. How will I accomplish this journey without a Guru? So the right teacher must be there. When the student finds the right teacher, then there is immense grace which flows into the life of the person. Then there is no looking back. There was one brahmachari who went to Guruji and said, Guruji, there's these big things which are spoken about in the scriptures and you have to be like this, like that. I don't think I'm of that level. I'm so ordinary. I have my own weaknesses, my own limitations, my own ego, my own attachments. I don't think I will realize the truth in this life. And Guruji said such a beautiful reply. He said, my dear, if disciples of Swami Tapovan Maharaj and Swami Chinmayananda will not realize, who will realize? We belong to that lineage. We've come under the wings of such a master. We are safe. So the first thing is the right teacher. Second is, a lot of people meet the right teacher also, lack faith in the teacher. Second aspect. It's very, very important that Shraddha is there. In Kathopanishad it is said, this knowledge can be transported only through a channel of love and admiration. Complete Shraddha. Because what the teacher is saying ultimately cannot be proven. Some logic can be given, some quotations, examples. Ultimately, how do you prove infinity? Because to prove something, one needs something equal to that. What is equal to infinity? There is no equivalent. One can keep saying like electricity, like space, like... It's all limited ultimately. Infinite consciousness is beyond. Whatever I have believed in, whatever I have remained attached to all my life, the Guru breaks it. I have always thought I am the body. All my life, from birth onwards or perhaps from before, Guru says you are not the body. I have always been taught by the world, follow your heart, do what you feel like. Guru says you are not those feelings. Every notion breaks. The world teaches us you do things, achieve things, then you will be happy. Guru says there is no happiness outside. Every single notion is broken. Want to give away all our notions, tremendous amount of faith in that master is needed. Otherwise, why will I give up everything? One has to strip completely of one's wrong notions to be able to really transform. Once when Gurudev was at a Yagnashala, he gave talks on the Gita for 5 days. Talk got over and he was just leaving. At the airport, one lady came there and said, Swamiji, I missed the 5-day talks. Can you just quickly summarize to me what you spoke? 5 days. Gurudev's talks, that was. He was so compassionate. He said, undress and embrace. And that lady was scandalized. She said, what is this Swami, telling me to undress and embrace? And he walked away. He was going away. He was catching his flight. Fortunately, the brahmachari, the acharya there was standing. He said, this is what Gurudev taught us. The whole incident of the gopis taking bath, Krishna taking away their clothes and saying, if you want your clothes, you have to come like that, nude to me, and then embrace me and all that, is actually a very, very symbolic representation of one's spiritual journey. To embrace the divinity, one has to strip oneself of all one's false notions, of one's ego. Clothes represent ego, isn't it? We feel good about our clothes show who we are. You look at somebody's clothes and say, kaise kapde pehne, pata nahi kaun hai. All that, everything. Stripping of the clothes is stripping of the ego. It's not literally, Krishna was an 8-year-old boy, he didn't want to do anything. It's not molestation or anything like that. It is just a symbolic representation. You want to embrace the divine, to undress all the wrong notions, the ego. So important. And for that, tremendous amount of faith in the Guru is needed. How will I give up my notions otherwise? My opinions, my understanding. Spirituality actually is not a process of learning, it's a process of unlearning. Everything that has been taught to us from childhood, I'm unlearning. And this reverse process is possible only when there is faith. Third is, there are a lot of people who walk this path, who have faith, who are doing things, but in between get distracted by some pleasure. It happens. Very sad. Sincere seeker, walking the path. Suddenly something takes over. Gone away from the journey. So many people tell us. I was with Gurudev, I was listening, I used to do this, I used to attend every talk. And something happened. Lost touch. So many times that happens. Then there are those who walk the path, who are not distracted but who lose stamina. It's a long journey. They get tired of it. Give up. Many such people exist. They do this, and they will quote also after that, saying, I went to Gita talks and I was following everything properly. I was doing meditation also, sadhana also, seva, everything I did. Nothing happened. It didn't work on me. Acha, for how long you did? 3 months. Just think about it. Lifetimes of garbage I have accumulated inside, and 3 months I have given it to clean up and given up. I tried a lot, did happen. What we tried? 10 days I tried to get up in the morning and do my japa. Rama, 10 days. But this is how we operate. So we lose stamina, we lose our energy. And sometimes, very, very dangerous it is that a person walks a spiritual path, gets distracted by spiritual pleasures. That's most dangerous. You will experience this if you start doing your sadhana daily, doing some seva, attending satsang regularly, studying the Gita. The mind becomes purer, purer, purer. As the mind becomes purer, certain experiences will come. Whatever you think about will start manifesting. So many times, I was just wanting to eat gulab jamun and somebody said, happens. I was thinking of somebody, that person came. Different such experiences will come. There will be scholarliness. Some people, they will say, when I listen to Gita, I feel so good. Everything that she says, I remember. Not a single word I forget. These are spiritual achievements. These spiritual achievements trap us. Remember, this is not the goal. But many people feel that this is what it is. So many times people say, I sit down quietly, I experience so much peace, I feel like always sitting down. Is that the peace of the self or is that the peace of the mind? If it's a peace of mind, the day the mind gets distracted, it will go away. I have to be very alert. I have to experience the peace of the self. For the peace of the self to be experienced, knowledge is important. Purity is important. These are spiritual pleasures which will take us away from the path. So a person who manages to meander through all of these obstacles and reach that goal. First of all, walk the path only is rare. Then out of those who are walking, to be able to overcome all this and be able to reach. Naturally, he will be worshipful. Just think about it. Those of us who walk the path, we know how. To control one anger is so difficult. To give up the habit of saying wrong things rudely, so tough. We know it is wrong, we try. To wake up in the morning, 4 o'clock. Alarm keeps ringing every day, isn't it? We don't wake up. How much must be the effort, the stamina, the capacity of that individual who has reached? And what must be his experience? It's not that those who don't reach don't benefit. Don't think like that. Everyone benefits if you reach. That's the way that knowledge is. So first Krishna establishes that it's very important we value this opportunity. We need to be amongst those who reach. We need to put that self-effort because we have got this opportunity. Then Krishna talks about the creation. Because reach does not mean I reject the world and a lot of people become like the bitter towards the world. You don't have to become like that. So he says this world is made up of 2 aspects, para prakriti and apara prakriti. This is a little technical reason, but because it comes in the Gita, I have to mention this. If you can grasp it, it's okay. If you don't grasp it, it's perfectly fine, forget about it. So para prakriti and apara prakriti. Apara prakriti refers to the matter aspect of creation. There are 8 aspects of it. We will not go into those 8 aspects right now. Para prakriti refers to the life factor. So matter plus spirit. Krishna says that this apara prakriti, the matter aspect of creation, is also a manifestation of God, and the para prakriti, which is the life spark aspect of creation, is also a manifestation of God. So matter plus spirit, para plus apara, together become the entire creation, but no aspect of creation is bereft of God. Gurudev used to give a very beautiful example. He used to say that if there is a chocolate cake, nice solid chocolate cake, and there's an ant which somehow enters into the chocolate cake. When he goes inside the chocolate cake, what will he experience? He will say, up also chocolate, down also chocolate, inside chocolate, on me chocolate, side also chocolate, down, everywhere chocolate, 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 oh chocolate. Like that, when the seeker understands the reality of the world, he says, up also Bhagavan, down also Bhagavan, side also Bhagavan, inside also, outside also Bhagavan. Divinity alone is the truth. So he said, God is in matter, God also is in spirit. Then what is the nature of God? He said, God is the cause of creation. How do you know the cause of creation? Very interesting this analysis is. Now we will think very scientifically. What is the nature of creation? Because the cause has to have some likeliness of the effect. Effect we are seeing, this whole creation we are seeing. So from the effect only we have to infer the cause. Now what is the nature of the effect? A lot of people say Big Bang theory is the nature of the effect, of the cause. Some people say, it came from nuclear. Some people say it came from atoms. Different causes of the universe are spoken about. Some people say it's time, some people say it's mind. But think about it. Mind, time, atom, nucleus, whatever, Big Bang, isn't all this also part of creation? Can the cause be a part of the effect? So the effect has to be exclusive from the cause. The cause has to be such that it causes the effect. Cause cannot be in the effect. It is like saying that in the milk there is butter. So butter is the cause of milk. How is it possible? Not possible. So what is the nature of the effect? What is the nature of this creation? If you look at the creation, forget the whole creation. You pick up one thing. Let's say water. You pick up water, there are people who study water. They are called hydrologists. They study water. And if they study water, they spend all their lives studying water, and they say there is so much more to water we don't know. It's just one single aspect of creation. Every aspect of creation is like that. You take one flower, the people who keep on doing PhD after PhD on one flower. There's more and more and more to do. That's why Einstein said that after all the advances of science, whatever science has discovered, we are only standing on the shores of reality and playing with the pebbles. We have not understood the truth completely at all. Because there is no limit. So much. Ananta Koti Brahmanda, it is said. If that Brahmanda is like that, the creation is such, don't you think the cause of creation should be infinite? Mind, time, atom, nucleus, Big Bang, is any of this infinite? How can the finite cause such an endless universe? The very fact that the universe is so very vast that it is unsurpassable means the cause of that universe has to be infinite in nature. First thing established. Second aspect. What is common in the whole universe? Mic is not the stand. Stand is not the chair. Chair is not me. I am not the sari. Sari is not the bottle. Bottle is not the napkin. Everything is different from each other. But what is a common factor? Common factor is isness, existence. Mic is, stand is, I am, sari is, napkin is, bottle is, chair is, floor is, building is. Isness is common. Even if you destroy something, let's say there's a wooden chair, I say I don't want this to be. I destroy the chair, I burn it, I make it into ash. Chair was, ash is. Isness continues. Form changes, name changes, appearance changes, nature changes, isness continues. So the existence factor always continues. Science also says that there is actually no destruction in the universe. Atoms can change their nature, but they continue. So isness is the common factor in the whole universe. Therefore, the cause also must be of the nature of existence. Infinite existence. Third aspect. In the entire creation, we see that there is life. That life is not produced by any of us. Science can keep on trying, they cannot create life. They cannot even understand life in its completeness. Doctors also tell us, beyond a point, they are not aware of the cause of things. Forget cause of big things like death, etc. Sometimes they will tell you, supposing they say you have this problem, and you say, why does this happen? We don't know. Doctors tell us this. We don't know. It happens sometimes. So many things they are not knowing. How will they create life? So the fact that there is life and the cause of this life is not in the effect, it means the cause must be in the cause. So the nature of that cause has to be infinite, existence, consciousness. Fourth aspect. Because these aspects are common, in spite of the variety, there is a certain oneness. Because there is that certain oneness in the whole universe, living, non-living, everything, that cause also must have oneness. So there must be oneness, infinity, existence, consciousness. This is the nature of the cause of the universe. We call it God, you call it anything you want. Doesn't matter. There are people who don't accept God. Don't accept. Call it anything you want. But ultimately, this is the nature of that fact. We call it God. This much logically one has to accept, one can't deny. Some people say this is all, unnecessary. Actually, it is all nature. There are laws in the nature. Nature keeps going on in its own way. Who created nature? Your uncle. Where did nature come from? There has to be a cause. There has to be somebody who's made those laws, isn't it? The laws of the universe exist. Law of gravitation is law of photosynthesis, law of this. But who created those laws? Can you create? You and I can't create these laws. There has to be an infinite factor which is the cause of this entire universe of multitude. This infinite factor, which is of the nature of existence, which is of the nature of infinitude, consciousness, what is the cause of that factor? If we think like this, we realize that can't have a cause. Because the moment you question the cause of the cause, you make it part of effect. If it's part of effect, it can't be cause. Basic logic. Part of effect cannot be cause. The moment I say what is the cause of the cause, I make the cause an effect. That which becomes an effect cannot become the cause of the world. So you say cause of human body, let's say is food. Cause of food is a plant. Cause of plant is the soil. Cause of soil is the earth. Cause of earth is Lord. Cause of Lord is. So that cause has to be a causeless cause. Without a cause it exists. That's why it can cause all of this. Ultimate cause. What does that cause do in our life? What does that God do in our lives? It is said that cause is like the substratum of the whole universe. Because that is, therefore everything is. The sun shines, the moon rises, the stars twinkle, the sky is, the earth is, the plants grow, the human beings operate only because of that cause. Without that cause, nothing can happen. How? Like the petrol is the cause of everything that happens in the car. That does not mean I can hold the petrol responsible for the accident of the car. The car meets with an accident, that is a problem of the driver. But without the petrol, the car can't move. Same way, without that cause, the effect cannot be. It's a substratum of the whole effect. Why are we saying substratum? Because we are seeing this effect. We are seeing this effect and we are seeing it change continuously. To experience change, a changeless substratum is necessary. If you are in a train and the train is moving and you see another train which is moving, you will not be able to see that train and what is happening in it. Because your train also is moving. But if you are on a platform which is not moving and you see the train moving, you can see what is happening in the train. So to experience change, one has to have a changeless substratum. We experience change every moment. It means that it has to be a changeless substratum. Because the possibility of change is infinite, that substratum has to be infinite. And because I am the experiencer of that change, that substratum has to be my own inner self. It's very, very big paradigm shift that I'm talking about. There is a substratum, that substratum is me. So actually, this whole concept which has been given to us, that I am born into this world, is not true. Fact is, the world is born into me. I am the infinite substratum. And that which is the infinite substratum is operating as a finite, helpless, victimized individual suffering from small, small sorrows, sufferings, running after small desires. Imagine how petty it is. It is like one Amitabh Bachchan going and begging from door to door. Silly. Infinite is my nature. Why is it that I don't see that truth at all times? So it is said, it is because that truth is like the thread in a necklace which is made up of pearls. You don't see the truth. Sutre Maniganaiva, it is said in the Gita. So it is said, thread, you can't see. But the entire necklace is held together because of that thread. Similarly, I cannot see the truth like an object. But the very manifestation of the whole creation is an expression of the truth. When Tapovan Maharaj used to walk through the Himalayas, he would stop and say, look at the play of divinity. He could see the truth. You don't need to see the cause to know the cause. You see the effect and you know the cause. Because the whole manifestation is the truth. The very fact that my breath which goes out comes back in. The very fact that I put food inside and it gets digested. Truth. The very fact that the universe is going on so beautifully and systematically. We can keep complaining about corruption, about calamities, about whatnot, but still the world is going on. Why doesn't the earth stop spinning? Why doesn't the sun stop rising? Why doesn't the sea stop being salty? There is no reason. It's just going on. It's the manifestation of the truth. So the manifestation of the truth itself is a proof of the truth. That's why Einstein once said that those who don't know, they wait for a miracle to happen. Those who know, they experience every moment as a miracle. Every moment of our life is a miracle. So Krishna says this very beautiful thing. He says, therefore, look at the whole universe and experience me. And he gives various examples. He says, in the chanting of the Om, experience me. In chirping of the birds, you experience me. In rising of the sun, you experience me. In the moon, you experience me. In the skies, in the earth, in the growth of the plants, you experience me. In the courage of the courageous, you experience me. In the intelligence of the intelligent, you experience me. In the success of the successful, you experience me. Where do we get that power from? The Lord is. He is the cause. So if I am experiencing anything, in my joys I experience Him, in the sorrows I experience Him. In everything He is a substratum. And the substratum I am. Then the question comes, if I am that infinite, why am I still bound? And Krishna says a very beautiful word. He says, because of Maya. What is Maya? Maya is not money, Maya is not people, Maya is not family, Maya is not any of these. Maya is ignorance. And what is the definition of Maya? Very beautiful definition in Sanskrit. Ya ma sa Maya. Meaning, that which is not is Maya. It does not exist. But it appears to be. Who controls Maya? Where does it come from? How does it manifest? It manifests as the three gunas. Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. Through the various manifestations of the gunas, it traps us, binds us. Sometimes we are attached to the Sattvic thing, sometimes we are attached to the Tamasic, sometimes Rajasic. We are bound. And how is it? Who controls this Maya? So it said, it is the Lord alone who controls Maya. Because He is a creator. Maya is also part of creation. Who controls Maya? Maya is that power through which the entire creation has manifested. An infinite, one single truth is appearing as many multitude, variety of things. And that is controlled by the Lord because He is the cause of the whole thing. So then, what is the solution? It is said, therefore, we must surrender to the Lord. Ultimately, using our willpower, using our own strength, our own stamina, how far can we go? Can we fight this Maya power? Tremendous amount of power it is. How it will tempt, how desires will arise, how ignorance will trap, we won't even realize. How ego will get us stuck, we won't know. Surrender to the Lord helps us overcome Maya. Very beautiful example is given in the scriptures. It is said, when a fisherman puts his net in the waters, he spreads his net in the water and sits on the banks with his leg inside the river. All those fish who are swimming in the river get caught in the net, but those fish who are near its feet get saved. Bhagavan has spread the net of Maya, but those who are around his feet get saved. Another very beautiful example is, if you go to your friend's house and the friend has an Alsatian dog. The dog looks at you, keeps on barking. You can't even enter his house until the friend comes out. And if he is your friend, he will take the dog aside and take you in. If he is not your friend, you had it. So befriend the Lord. That's why the importance of devotion comes in. Then Bhagavan says there are 4 types of devotees. People who pray also. First type is called the Artha devotee, Artha Bhakta. Artha Bhakta means those who think of God, who pray to God, but only in times of trouble. There are lots of us like that. Classic example is Gajendra. That elephant was caught his leg was caught by the crocodile and he cried. Till that time he never thought about it. That time suddenly, Bhagavan came, saved him. Bhagavan saves us at that time also. Therefore those are also called bhaktas. Second time is Artharthi. Artharthi are those people who remember God only for desire fulfillment. These are Rajika Chira. Every time they go, they have a wish list. Bhagavan this promotion, Bhagavan this contract, Bhagavan this, my son's exam, my daughter's marriage. One classic example of that is Dhruva. He prayed to Bhagavan with so much of tapas. When Bhagavan came, what did he ask? I want a position from which I can't ever be moved. And it is said Bhagavan granted and went away. After that, Dhruva started crying because later he realized he could have asked for infinite. He settled down for such a small blessing. Arthat. Third type of bhaktas are called Jignasu. Those who go to the Lord for the sake of knowledge. Arjuna. He approached the Lord and surrendered to him, asking knowledge and guidance. He didn't ask wishes. He said very clearly, I don't know, you guide me. Finish. And fourth is Jnani, like Narad Bhagavan. He sings the name of the Lord, wanting nothing. He sings out of the joy of singing the name of the Lord. So there are various types of devotees and they are all called devotees. There was one person, he was giving candies to children. So he had this small box from which he was taking out candies and giving. Every child was coming and saying, I want this one, red one, green one, this flavor, that flavor. He was giving. Whatever you asked, he would give. One child came and said, I don't want candy. Give me the key of the box. He got the key and he got the candy also. In Guru Stotram, which we chant for the Guru, there is a very beautiful line which says, Bhukti Mukti Pradatacha. When we seek Mukti, we get Bhukti automatically. If we seek Bhukti alone, Mukti is not guaranteed. Bhagavan has infinite grace to shower on us. He is like the ocean. But what I will gain from the ocean depends on how big my cup is. I go there with one small katori, I will get that much. I go there spreading my arms and enter into the ocean, the whole ocean is mine. I go there asking for desires, freedom from sorrow, I'll get that much and come back. Bhagavan will bless, no problem. I go there seeking Him, He will bless me with everything. So Bhagavan says, the dearest is the Jnani. Then the question comes, how is it that the Jnani and Bhakti get combined? Jnani is called a Bhakti, you think about it. So Jnana and Bhakti are not two, they are one. When they go in symphony like that, it will be so beautiful to know the Lord after that. There is love also, there is understanding also. So they are not two. Actually, they're never two. Because you can't love somebody without understanding. You can't understand somebody without loving. You can't say, I will do only bhakti without jnana. How can I love the Lord and not feel like understanding? I can't say I will do only jnana, not bhakti. If I understand Him, I don't have to love Him. Then how long will it take me to know the truth? There was a saint who was on the road in a village, and that saint was asked by a man who was traveling. He said, how far is this village? He said, just 15 minutes from here. Just go. Another man came and he said, how far is this village? He said, 1 hour. Go. So one person was watching. He said, why you told him 15 minutes and why you told this other person 1 hour? Because the same place they are going to. He said, how quickly you will reach depends on how fast you are walking. That how soon will I know the Lord depends on the intensity of my sadhana and my desire to know Him. He is ever available. The truth is here and now. It's me, manifesting in the whole creation. When will I know Him? I will know Him only and only when I feel like knowing Him. The moment I feel like knowing Him, then grace will manifest. Merits will come in. Self-effort will happen because I want to know Him. When there is this combination of grace plus my own punya karma plus my own tremendous amount of self-effort, then what arises in my heart is vijnana. Experience that I am one with the truth. That's where the 7th chapter closes. We will continue in the next session with the 8th chapter. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamahat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.